So we are discussing about VideoDev. It's a video and production development company which have clients in New Zealand and Australia. Here is a brief introduction of the VideoDev. So their data centers reside in Sydney and Melbourne. They have over around 100 employees working within the organization. The brief description of the business goals: transformation to the cloud, flexibility, responsiveness, accessibility, cost effectiveness, and standard desktop operating environment. So what is cloud? What is a cloud computing? Cloud computing is a services over the internet. In cloud computing, data usually resides on the virtual servers and can be accessed when required. Cloud computing, or you can say, is a way of referring to use of shared computing resources, and it is an alternate to having local servers handle applications. Characteristics of a cloud computing. Here are some of the characteristics of the cloud computing, which are as follows: pay for what you use. You can only pay for the services you're using. On-demand services, like the service can be accessed whenever it's required. Cost effectiveness, as you have to pay for the specific services to greatly lower down the cost of the organization. Why the transformation is good. Number one, low upfront, easy to access, less work burden on the organization's IT personnel, enhanced utilization of the resources, and the more data storage. Like cloud computing is beneficial as companies don't have to spend in advance on the resources, lowering down the capital expenditure of the organization, so the organization can expend this specific amount to the operational side, hence increasing or improving the operational services of an organization. As the resources are available over the internet, can be accessed at any instant of time from any geographical location. No extra employees are required to look after the resources, hence providing the cost effectiveness in this regard. Like then our organization do not need any IT personal team to look after the operations. So they just have to use the resources up to their capabilities and do not have to spend extra for the employees, providing the cost effectiveness in this regard. So here we are going to discuss about the architectural layers of the cloud computing. First of all, we're going to discuss about the platform as a service. Platform as a service is an incorporation of hardware and certain application software together, upon which the user can build its own application. This is the idea that someone can provide the hardware plus a certain amount of application software, such as the integration into, you can say, the integration into common set of programming functions, or you can say database as a foundation upon which you build your application. Platform as a service enables with the development and the deployment of applications, reducing the cost and the complexity of managing the infrastructure. Here we're going to discuss about the infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure is a platform in which data is delivered from operating system to the virtual servers for storage, and cloud provider is responsible for managing the computing tools. Infrastructure as a service is the delivery of hardware and associated software as a service, or you can say that infrastructure as a service provides is a combination of the hardware and the software services together. Unlike the platform as a service, the infrastructure as a service provider, the cloud provider which are providing the services, the IaaS provider does very little management other than keep the data centers operational, and user must deploy and manage the software services themselves. Like user have to look after the software service or the application service by themselves. So just way they would in their own data center, like they are working in their own data center. And the Amazon Web Services are one of the best example of infrastructure as a service. So this slide shows us the differences between the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service. As you can have a look from the image that certain things which we have to manage in infrastructure as a service and the services which are looked after by the provider, by the vendor. Differences between infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. So infrastructure as a service provide virtualized computing resources, whereas platform as a service provide necessary tools for application development. Infrastructure as a service provide access to the virtualized resources like virtual machines, whereas platform as a service on the other hand provides a runtime environment, development and a deployment tools for the application. So in platform as a service, provide a runtime infrastructure, runtime environment, so user can develop and deploy the application according to according to their needs. Infrastructure as a service are usually used by the network architects, whereas platform as a service architecture is usually used by the developers. One of the good example of platform as a service is Google App Engine. So recommended model is infrastructure as a service. There are some advantages of this architecture given below. Like infrastructure as a service is a form of hosting. It includes network access, routing services, and the storage. Usually the infrastructure as a service provider will generally provide the hardware and the administrative services need to store applications and a platform for running that applications as well. So the advantages are as follow given below. Like after finalizing the design, website deployment is to be done with the original website go live on the AWS platform, like cloud storage, high accessibility and scalability of resources, better flexibility, backlog decline, data security. Like after the successful deployment, data of the clients is uploaded to the cloud for the testing and trial purposes, just to look after how the services are working on the cloud. Infrastructure as a service provides security to data in case of any loss or system failure, as data is backed up and stored on the multiple locations on the virtual servers. One of the main advantages of using cloud services is that on-premise required all the working IT experts to tackle the client's problems, questions, and the queries. Now and then clients contact from vigorous geographical area is of available time in or like after in during after hours postponed reaction they will get the postponed reaction. So however on the cloud their client administration is like 24/7 available. Doesn't matter from which part of the world at what instant of the time you're using the services. So there are some challenges involved in implementing infrastructure as a service. Like Videodef needs to revise their security and privacy plan as they are going through the transformation of the business model. So they have to revise their security and the privacy policy. Server may go down due to upgradation, like during the transformation, whole of the data is to be uploaded on the server. So there are some chances that the server may go down due to the upgradation. The we did have required training for the employees as they are not familiar with the cloud infrastructure, like they are using the traditional infrastructure before. So they might, some of them might have knowledge, but in most cases, the employees do not have any detailed or experienced knowledge of the cloud infrastructure. VDF has to redesign their existing IT model in accordance to the cloud model. So the organization can't estimate the hidden cost which is involved until the model is totally deployed. Security is one of the main threat and concern as well, because the resources and data can be accessed from anywhere and any part of the world. Like prior, if we are working at a workplace, at a specific building, at a specific office, we are just using the authorized computers and the network and the routers, the stuff like that. So in the cloud computing, security is one of the main concern which is in consideration to many people. So infrastructure architectural pattern. So there is a list of different architectural patterns. Number one is dynamic scalability. Dynamic scalability is suitable to increase storage abilities and capacities. Dynamic scaling is a model that uses a set of predefined conditions to trigger the dynamic allocation of IT resources. An automatic scaling listener is a part of architecture and is configured with the upper and lower workload threshold. Dynamic scalability is like usually based on the consumer provisioning contracts, whereas in case of high load on a specific service, extraordinary can also support service load balancing architecture. Service load balancing architecture. This is a specialized variation of the workload balancing architecture and is designed for the scaling cloud service implementation. It uses redundant deployment of cloud services implementation with a loading balance system. Whereas in cloud bursting architecture, the dynamic scaling model, it is called dynamic scaling model, that bursts out when existing on-premise IT resources to a cloud when a trigger point is like you can say a threshold point. So when a certain trigger point is reached, the dynamic scaling model bursts out existing on-premise IT resources to a cloud. And when the demands drop below the lower trigger point, cloud-based resources are released, shut down, or you can say they're closed off, and then architecture is said to be burst in to the data center. So like there are two different operation mechanism like burst in and burst out in the cloud bursting. The last one is elastic disk provisioning. So in elastic disk provisioning, consumer normally purchase storage on the basis of a fixed storage allocation. This architecture uses thin provisioning technology for the dynamic allocation of storage via the hypervisors. The elastic disk provisioning provides dynamic storage provisioning, so the consumer only pay for the storage or the services they're using. So removing the backlogs. The resources are available 24/7, so the operation can be performed at any instant of time. System capabilities are enhanced using the cloud services, so therefore the maximum utilization of the available resources minimizes the backlog. SDOE is system design for operational effectiveness. There are two different systems discussed here. One is Amazon Workspace and the other one is Virtual Desktop. Some of the characteristics of the Amazon Workspace, launched in 2014, offer top security, whereas Windows Virtual Desktop is a remote infrastructure for like Amazon combined with other services. Advantages and the disadvantages of the Amazon Workspace. Some of the advantages of the virtual machine: high security, less expensive. And the disadvantages are less mature in industry. So in this slide, we have discussed about the adopted SDOE, which is the Amazon Workspace. Amazon Workspace is entirely managed secure desktop community services which can be run using AWS Cloud. It provides easy access to the cloud with virtual desktops so that user can access the essential data and information. The AWS cloud brings scalability, elasticity, and agility and reliability to the enterprises So Puffin simply access the S2 by simply assigning